Computers are amazing. They can perform a tedious, time-consuming project in just a fraction of the time it takes to do the same thing without a computer. This Magna Media program, called Grading Routine, is a good example of this. On this side of the cassette, we will explain how to use this program. On the other side, the computer code is recorded. If you don't need instructions, you can turn this cassette over and rewind it now. There are two ways you can do this. You can listen to the instructions first and then load the program into your computer, or you can load the program now and check it out while you listen to the tape. If you want to put the program in now, turn this cassette over, rewind it to the beginning of the other side, and then load it according to your computer instruction manual. Load the program if you want, and then come back to this point for the rest of the instructions. Once the program has been loaded, type the word run and then press return. We always have to press return to send messages back to the computer. A list of choices will appear on the screen. Number 1, setup. 2, enter information from tape. 3, make changes. 4, review grades. 5, student summaries. 6, class curve routine. 7, list categories. 8, list grading standard. 9, save information on tape. 10, end. We'll explain some of these later, but the first one that you would naturally choose would be number 1, which is setup. However, if you have already saved the information from a previous setup, you might choose number 2, which is enter information from tape. Or if you are just working out a class curve that you want to enter in your roll book, you might choose number 6, class curve routine. Type one of those three numbers, number 1, number 2, or number 6, and then press return. Let's suppose you type number 1 for setup. You type the 1, press return, then there'll be just a few moments wait while it clears some memory. Then a title appears which says class information. It asks, what is the class name? This gives you the ability to name the class so that if you do save it on tape, that you will know which class you're dealing with when you pick it back up later on. You give the class a name, press return, and then it asks how many students. This is important. The number of students can be changed later, but for your initial setup, you need to tell the computer how many students you're going to be giving grades for at the beginning. Type the number of students that you plan to have in the class, press the return, and then it gives you a list of categories. These categories pretty well cover the different areas that you may wish to grade. Most teachers will not use all 8 categories. Some will only use 1 or 2 or 3. But you can choose the ones that you want. Number 1, projects. 2, paces. 3, reading. 4, quizzes. 5, oral reports. 6, exams. 7, final exam. 8, other. And if you choose other, you will be able to name that category. It says, please indicate which of these categories you use. For each one, number 1, projects, you type a Y or a yes for whether or not you use it. If you don't use it, type an N and return. If you do use it, type a Y and return. If you type Y for any of the categories, which stands for yes, the computer will then ask how much of the final grade is this category worth. Now, you may assign 10% of your total class grade to that category, or 90%, or 100%. Whatever it is, you enter the figure at that point. Type in the percentage, but not the percent sign, and press return. Then it gives you the next category. You tell the computer yes or no for each of the categories. If on number 8 you choose other, the computer will ask how much of the grade is it worth. You type the percentage in, and then it asks, what do you call this category? You can name it something like field work. Press return, and then it lists your categories. All of the categories that you have chosen and the percentage of the final grade. Now, if those percentages do not add up to 100%, the computer will automatically ask you to do it over. If they do add up to 100%, it will say, is this correct? If it is, just type a Y, press return, and it will move on to the next thing, which is the method of grading. Here there are 3 methods of grading. And most teachers use a combination of letter grades and percentages, which is number 3. Some, however, use letter grades only, that's number 1, and some use percentages or raw scores only. You indicate which of the 3 methods that you use. If you choose methods 2 or 3, it will take you to a special routine, which we'll describe now. It explains that since you have more than one category, the percentages must be standardized in order to obtain a fair grade. You indicate whether or not your grades are standardized by typing a Y or an N and pressing return. If they are standardized, then it will move on to a grading scale, which you can establish. You can either take the grading scale that is given by the computer, or you can establish your own scale. If you say that your scores are not standardized, then it gives you the class curve routine so that you can work out fair grades that can be averaged one with another. After all of that has been settled, the computer then gives you each of the students that you're going to have, one after the other, and all of the categories that you've chosen. And you're able to enter the scores, whether they be letter grades or percentages, for each of the students in each of the categories. At the end of each category, you type the word done. The computer will automatically average that score for you and store it into memory. Then it gives you the next category for the same student. When you've gone through all of your categories, it then lists a summary of that student in each of the categories and gives you a final grade for the student. The computer then does the same thing for the next student and the next until all of your students have had all of their grades entered, averaged, and stored. Then the computer returns you to the list of choices that you had at the beginning. These choices are explained briefly in the instruction booklet that comes with this program. Incidentally, the data for a sample class has been recorded on the other side of this tape for your convenience. We certainly hope that this program will be very helpful for you. Thank you.